Jenna Ellis in the morning on American Family Radio.
I love talking about the things of God because of truth and the biblical worldview.
The U.S. Constitution obligates our government to preserve and protect the rights that our founders recognize come from God, our Creator, not our government. I believe that Scripture in the Bible is very clear that God is the one that raised up each of you, and God has allowed us to be brought here to this specific moment in time.
This is Jenna Ellis in the morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, I hope you had a fantastic weekend talking about what exactly happened in the Oval Office between President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, a very uncomfortable-looking Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky. And now, this coming from Town Hall, the United Kingdom and France are working together to form a coalition of the willing, is what they're terming it apparently, to craft a peace plan for Ukraine, which they intend to present to President Trump. The move comes as both European nations seek to address the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia and anticipate a potential shift in U.S. foreign policy under Trump's leadership. But this coming, of course, after this mineral deal wasn't signed, even though some members of the White House and aides were saying that it was all but signed. And then, of course, we had kind of the Oval Office fiasco. So what exactly happened and what is going on? Let's welcome in Scott Eulinger, who is a former naval officer. And Scott, I think the main question here is that the left is saying that this was a setup with Zelensky. I think if you look at the entire press conference and the entire meeting, it was clear that Zelensky was just there kind of in a petulant sort of mood and insulting Trump and Vance while asking for help on behalf of his country. Maybe not a smart move if you've been around Donald Trump for 5 minutes or even seen how he operates. But what was the deal supposed to be, and then how did it kind of get off the rails?
Well, good morning, Jenna. The deal was supposed to be signed after that press conference at a luncheon. And so this is one reason why we saw Rubio was clearly so angry, because he had been absolutely basically lied to in Kiev. Apparently, Zelensky and the Kiev authorities insisted that the deal be signed in Washington instead of just in Kiev by the Secretary of State or something. So they came over to D.C. for the purposes of signing this. And at that moment, it was apparently Zelensky decided he wanted to start changing the conditions of the deal in front of the world press. And somehow in his mind, he thought that was a good idea to contradict the president and vice president, and as well as an American public that had given him over $350 billion in aid so far. So this was like a diplomatic meltdown that I've never seen before in my life, a disaster on Zelensky's part, because he basically sunk his cause with a lot of the American people. A lot of some polling shows that Zelensky is now in the basement as